it a try anyway. That's what we do best around here, and we're normally fairly good at it. Looks like we'll start over here on your right-hand side first. We're going to find ourselves that okapi. We do have a black and white stripe pattern on their legs and backhand side. So a lot of people believe they're related to the zebra. However, they're actually the only known living relative to the giraffe. Very shy and timid creatures though. So shy, in fact, they were not discovered by the Western world until 1901. Before then, they were thought to be a hallucination. On either side of us, there's a few taller teen antelope. These are greater kudu. They are the second tallest antelope species in the world, standing just under 6 feet tall. These ones are females, and you can tell that by the simple fact that they don't have any horns on their head. Only males are known to have those horns. Now, speaking of horns, I do see a black rhino down here by the water. It looks like we got a few of them. There's one a little bit farther out there on your left. We're going to bypass that one. We'll go down to this one down here. He's a little bit closer. He's just hanging back here behind the rocks. Now, unfortunately, there are fewer than 5,000 black rhinos left in the entire world, mainly due to poaching for their horns. They were once thought to have a medicinal value, but we have found out they're just made out of the same thing that you can find in your fingernails and your hair. Unfortunately, though, that message has not made its way all the way across the globe yet. So they are still heavily poached, but we're hoping the more people that we can educate, eventually the more rhinos we can end up saving. That is the goal here after all. We'll check one more back corner over here, see if anybody else is making their way on through yet. Got a bongo coming through the hill out here on your left. These guys get the nickname of the ghost of the forest. Their horns are going to go on a backwards slant. That just helps them to run through the bushes super quick and disappear within seconds. Now that's a couple different animals in one area. We're going to head on out of the forest though. We'll make our way on over towards Safari River, just going to find that direction. They don't have as many trees to hide behind, so it's a little bit easier to find something over there. Although there really wasn't that bad. Definitely qualify that as a success today. Just good to see the river has its sort of presence this morning. We're going to get this truck a little bit further up ahead of us here. Then we're going to make our way just around the river bend. See what's going on. Now I can already see somebody in this first corner on the right. They're not going to be in the best of view for everybody involved, but we do normally find some a little bit farther down river. Not too worried about it just yet. But there are a couple of hippos hanging out together over here in the corner. We'll go down a little bit farther, see if we can find a couple of others today. Right back behind the island here on the left. We have a couple more. Now, if we look at the one that's closest to us very carefully, look right where her eye is. She has her little baby rustled up right alongside of her. She's actually using mom as a pillow right now. She's right up on top of her nose. She does a pretty good job of blending in down there. She's only a couple months old, but mom did give birth underwater. She also nurses underwater. It's like to be down under in the shallows. But hippos can hold their breath about 8 minutes at a time, so you don't always see them if they are around. There's quite a few of them around today though. It's a very nice sized group. Sounds a bloat. They don't really swim. What they're mainly going to do is sink down to the bottom, and they'll walk along the bottom of the riverbank. Larger great swipers that are around are pink-backed pelicans, and they do get their name from the pink coloration. It's going to appear on their backhand side during the mating season. They are more of a colonial bird. They've been found in groups of 20 to 500 individuals, so definitely not small amounts by any means. That is for sure. Also find some pretty large now crocodiles out here on our left. These guys are about 18 to 20 feet long. The same length as a drop this tall. But if they stay completely still in the water, they can hold their breath about 2 hours at a time. They do have a jaw pressure of about 2,000 pounds per square inch. Now, shockingly enough, the crocodile is not the most aggressive animal in all of Africa. That title has been given to the hippo. They're a very territorial animal. They really don't like anyone invading in their space. But we're going to go check out the savannah next. And that is normally where we can find some of those more popular animals. Look, they're pretty active right now, making their way through the area. Now y'all can get some really nice views while we are down there today. We're just going to end up making a quick little stop by a very large tree that's coming up over here on our right. This one is a baobab tree. Its nickname, however, is the upside down tree. It kind of just looks like it has its roots on up in the air. But they will go leafless for about 9 months out of the year. They're going to hold all the water that they need in those chunks of theirs, which can easily be about 10,000 gallons. Now this spot right here though, this is my favorite spot in the entire reserve. It's an absolutely beautiful view of how the savannah can just go on for miles on end. Savannah is molded by the animals that live here. The elephants will come on through, they're going to knock down all of the dead trees. And the bulldozers. The giraffes are going to eat the living trees, they're going to make them all the exact same level. And the pruners. Now as those come on by, they will mow the grass. Everything's pretty much taken care of by the animals, for the animals. We're just really here to observe them. We do a pretty good job of it. See a couple different things down here in the lower field. Looks like we got some back in the far field as well. So we are pretty well spread out at the moment. It's exactly how you want it to be. Everybody's too close together. It can be a little overwhelming at times. Don't always know where to look. But we'll venture around, see what kind of views we can get on everybody at this exact moment here. Some of them do look pretty close to the road. So that should work out pretty nicely for us once we get over there. Over here on your left hand side, the hedges are a little bit high, but there are some tan, black, and white animals lying down here in the corner. These guys are African wild dogs. They're also known as a painted dog, and they are the most successful hunters in all of Africa, typically led by the alpha male and the alpha female. No two dogs will have the same coat pattern. They're all unique and different in their own way, like their own individual fingerprint. But fewer than 5,000 of them left in the world. These are sadly the most endangered predator in all of Africa. They do love to get cuddled up close to each other, get that social bond that they have within their group. Over here in the corner, we also have some of these larger animals with these beautiful horns on their head. These are Ankoli cattle, also known as Watusi cattle, named after the Watusi tribe that first domesticated them. Those horns aren't heavy, they're actually hollow. They have a honeycomb structure on the inside that's kind of like a cooling system for them. They measure about 3 to 4 feet in length. But they are a symbol of wealth for that Watusi tribe. Sun goes down, we could drop these giant pens made out of thorns. That way, hopefully the predators are going to stay away from them, and the village will be able to keep all of the animals that they started with that morning. Start to pass by a lot of these really tall red mounds that are on either side of us out here. These are termite mounds. They're as hard as concrete. So animals like the giraffes and elephants do like to use them as a scratching post. And eventually they're going to get worn down, kind of like that smaller one over there on your right. The little antelope are going to use them as a lookout post. They're only made out of 3 materials though: mud, spit, and animal dung. It's not the best treat things out here. I will admit, you can only work with so much when you are the size of a termite. As you all can see, not too much are out here for them. You do have to get a little bit creative. It's too creative for my liking. We're going to get pretty close to all the Maasai giraffes today. We can normally tell they are Maasai just because they do this irregular pattern that is on their bodies. This is a pretty large group on the tower. As they make their way through the area, they do get the nickname the journey. Sometimes you can hear either word being used. They do only have 7 vertebrae in their neck, same way we have in ours. Theirs are just larger. Then they'll have an 18-inch long tongue that just helps them reach the leaves and branches that are just out of reach. It is a dark purple in color, sometimes quite often. They're rather beautiful fabric and suffering. We have the baby of the group over here. Right about 6 feet tall when he was first born. You see him on all fours the first hour of their life. First thing you do experience though is a 6-foot drop down the ground. So you can kind of see the springbok running around over here. So they're doing what is known as pronking. So you can see they jump up into the air, they kind of hunch their backs a little bit. It is a very special behavior that they do. They don't really do it all too often, but because it's so cool out here this morning, we're going to have a grand old time running around. They can jump 6 feet up in the air and 13 feet across. They're only 3 feet tall though. That's as tall as they're ever going to get. So we're kind of going to watch them going through the entire field out here this morning. See, the zebra absolutely has no cares in the world. This is a Hartman's mountain zebra. You can tell he's a mountain just because they do those extra skin flappings down their neck. It's called a dewlap. Smaller group does hang out through here. So is a dazzle, but it's finally been decided that zebras are indeed black with white stripes. We can tell that by looking at their noses. The younger they are, they do a little bit more of a brown coloration on them. They'll grow up in that black later on in their lifetime. See, they're gonna go for quite a while this morning apparently. This is normally a little bit longer than they usually do. But like I said, cooler morning. Finally starting to come in a little bit here. We'll take advantage. Other than that though, not seeing too much else around here right now, which is perfectly fine. This is only one small section of the savannah. We still have a lot more ground to cover, a lot more time to do it. I'd still like to try to find you all something a little bit larger while we're out here today. That would be ideal for sure. we will indeed find over here in the corner of your right. Find ourselves a couple of elephants. The one space that we can see the best, she's a juvenile. She's about 8 to 15. Females stay with her their entire life, probably 13 to 15. So that male moves off their own. That's more of a solitary animal. And that's her mother hanging out with her. She's pretty easily animal. She only has one tusk on her. Tusk are teeth after all. Sometimes things will happen. They will fall out. It's definitely not an uncommon thing in the elephant world. We have a couple of mandrills over here in the rocks on our left. These are the largest monkeys found in a group known as a troop. The big male's in the back left corner right now. He's got a bright coloration on his face and back and side. Kind of makes him look like our good friend Rafiki. There's a juvenile down here at the base of the palm trees. And then you got a little bit of a younger male kind of moving around over here in the corner. But we're going to see if we can find a few more elephants around. They're typically not too far apart from each other, so we still might be able to find some more while we're out here today. Those big old ears on their head. It's going to give them sensitive hearing. You're about a mile away. So they always know that we are coming before we ever have a chance to see them. That's what's good and bad. Sometimes an elephant does not like what they're hearing. They're just going to move right out of an area. That's happened on more than one occasion. Hopefully not the case today though. I'd still like to find a few more while we're out here for you guys. Those two are in a really nice spot, so hopefully we can keep it up. Now to get where I want to go to TQ, that does require us to get over this little bridge that's right here. We should be okay with this thing though. We did put some duct tape on it earlier this morning. So give it a go. See how it's doing today. As long as it doesn't rain at all today, we're not 100% positive the duct tape that we're using is waterproof. We run out of Gorilla Glue with all the storms that we've been having lately. That's pretty much all I got left to work with. But I guess it's doing okay for right now. But here we go. See some tusk marks. Looks like there's even some footprints down here in the clay. It's a really good sign of elephant activity. They do eat the clay. They give them some nice minerals in their diet. They look a little bit worn down, so maybe from those first two that we saw back there. This is a pretty large area. It looks like we got at least one down here in the valley. We got a couple more down here. So it looks like these two are both juveniles one more time. We've seen these two before. They're actually a bachelor group, so right there, that's the good indication. It's a couple of younger boys who are still kind of learning the ropes a little bit of what it is to be a male elephant. So they're going to spar off with each other quite a bit, trying to figure out who's going to be the more dominant one between the two. It works out if you're going against somebody who's your own size. If you're trying to go up against somebody a little bit larger, they're going to get put in their place very, very quickly. Now when they go into that sparring mode, sometimes you're going to find their ears go straight out, so they make themselves appear a little bit larger than they actually are. Like I said, same size works out, but otherwise not too much. You might find them flapping their ears every now and then as well. It's a cooling technique that elephants use, just like their own personal air conditioning unit. Could drop their temperature by about 15 degrees, so it's a pretty useful tool. They also have that amazing trunk, about 40,000 different muscles in that thing. Some really good things for these guys. In perspective, we have less than 1,000 in our body, so it kind of works out like an extra limb for them. But we've seen quite a few younger elephants around today. That is a great sign of a healthy population. It takes about 2 years for an elephant to have a baby. It's a really slow process. When they're first born, they're about 300 pounds, although a big adult male is about 15,000. So there's plenty of room to get nice and big. Every now and then you do find juvenile females take care of little ones, like a babysitter for them. Now when they're ready to take care of their own young, the time has come. Also gives the mom a little bit of a break, which I'm sure she definitely enjoys. Little flamboyants around the corner here. In this case, the flamboyant is going to be a group of flamingos. These are the greater flamingo. They are the tallest, standing just under 5 feet tall. Also a shade of pink. They are completely gray when they're first born. Not going to get that pink coloration until much later in life. A strict diet of beta shrimp, which is full of keratin. They do get tall pretty quickly. It'll take them about 2 to 3 years to get all their pink feathers in. They still got a little bit of time for like anything like their parents, but they will eventually get there. There are still a couple of juveniles mixed in. There's a few right here. They got some gray on their neck still. They do have some pink coming in their back feathers, so they are getting there slowly but surely. Looks like the wardens were able to stop some poachers that made their way onto the reserve, trying to get some of these elephant tusks and rhino horns back. Unfortunately, poaching is still the #1 leading cause of population decline for both of those species. Really trying to stop that if we can. It's not an easy battle to win though. Does seem like it's absolutely never ending. Hasn't really impacted Troublemaker right here around the corner though. Maybe this ostrich. She is the largest of birds. They can't fly, but to make up for they do reach about 40 miles an hour. This one is a female. We can tell that because she has gray feathers and not jet black like her husband. larger than her, if you like to hang out in this mud wall over here on your left, put the foam down. Also work as a sunscreen, a bug repellent, anything I mean to do, it will do the trick. Dry off something a little bit larger, also being muddy while we're finishing up through here. You can tell somebody's been through here at one point. There's a lot of mud on the side of the trees. It's a pretty good indication someone's been having some fun. But you can see that ostrich just gonna block the gate back there, so she can have fun all she wants back there. Now remember, there's a big cat territory, and I just saw a little bit of sliver of yellow going over here on your left-hand side. There's a cheetah. She's making her way to the rocks. See, there we go, right behind him there. That is the fastest animal in the world, about 65 to 70 miles an hour if they really push themselves. They are more of a daytime predator though. They really only weigh about 100 pounds. Some of their larger cousins more active during the evening hours. The very few big cats do not roar. They purr, make a chirping noise. Kind of makes them sound like a bird. There's another one kind of a little bit farther back. She's in that bottom right corner, right where the green and brown meets. She's a little bit tricky, and then there's one actually right up here as well. It is rare to find a group like this, but when we do this, everyone's a coalition of cheetahs, and a good majority of the time they are related to each other one way or another. Ooh, we're gonna keep going though, because I can hear some good sounds up ahead of us. Let's see if we can time this out. Here, lion roars.
Whoa. It's gotta be close. Whoa, those are legit lion roars.
There's Montauk over our right shoulder here too. It's kind of up the side road. They're pretty special. About 20 of them left in the entire road at one point. But we did get some good quality roars over here. It doesn't really happen all too often. See the front girl, she was a little bit lazy while she did hers. She just continued to have her head down the entire time, but that's one way to do it. If they want to, they could be heard about 5 miles away. It really depends on how they're feeling. She's probably going to go back and pounce on the male. She's kind of watching him at the moment. And then we're going to come back to the white rhinos here in a little bit that are on our right-hand side. We'll catch them around a little bit farther here yet.
It's like the Mookie lion.
Now lions normally sleep on average 16 to 20 hours a day, so this is a little bit normal. Much more active when the sun goes down. More likely to be up a little bit later. Whenever they are awake, they're going to see exactly like we do today. Once the sun has set, they will have that nighttime vision 6 times through their own. Special padding on the bottom of their paws lets them get nice and close to their prey. The females are more the hunter, the males more the protector. He stays behind with our surprise and babysits. So the girls are going to head on out and get some much needed food. Large burrows around the corner here. It's usually a great place to try to find a couple of warthogs. We do like to go deeper into their burrows sometimes. It's usually a little bit cooler. You got one coming out of the back left corner, and then there's a couple lying down behind this big broken down tree here. So it's a little bit harder to see those ones. They are the largest burrowing animals found in a group known as a sounder. When they sleep in their burrows, though, they do sleep with their tusks pointed outward. That just keeps predators away from them while they're sleeping. Don't always use their own burrows. They're going to take them something like an aardvark. And we'll come back to the white rhinos. That one decided to join her friend back there. That's okay. They're all fairly large, about 5,000 pounds. Because in the black rhino we saw earlier is only about 3,000. All rhino species do have horrible vision. We only see about 3 to 4 feet in front of them. Definitely rely on us to hearing and smell to make up for it. Large eggs down here in the ground on your right are ostrich eggs, about 3 pounds apiece. Very, very sturdy. Anything weighing about 300 pounds would sit on one of those eggs will not break. You need to get a scratch on it. But one ostrich egg is the equivalent of about 2 dozen chicken eggs. They do form a communal nest from a whole bunch of adult females laying those eggs together. They'll take turns watching over them. They have absolutely no problem leaving their eggs for extended periods at a time. Nothing's going to happen to them. They are very safe and sound. Made our way to the warden's post, which means we're getting a little bit closer to the village now. But the warden and his staff have been taking care of some of these Nigerian dwarf goats. We still got a couple in the front yard right here. Miniature goat species originally found in West Africa. They become very popular with farmers all around the world due to their size, which means they don't need that much space. They don't need that much food either. They do have a rich milk content, which definitely comes in handy nutritionally, also economically. Farmers can sell that milk for a little bit of extra money. But the hope is by having a relationship with domesticated animals that people all around the world will never have to go back out into the wild and go after local wildlife for things like bushmeat. And with that, we're going to start to make our way back towards the village. We're here on the Crown Bay Wildlife Reserve. We do take great pride in being part of the Disney Conservation Fund. The fund does help out so many animals like you all were able to see today. One of their biggest projects has helped out elephants. Researchers have accidentally discovered that elephants are afraid of bees, so they put beeline fences around the farms of Africa to keep the animals out. Now, hopefully, they will not trample the crops. It is a win-win situation. Unfortunately, if those animals were to get too close to villagers, they would end up poaching them. Hopefully, this can stop that. Sadly, this is about 96 elephants that are poached every single day for those tusks. We do the math on that. There is one elephant approximately every 15 minutes. If that trend were to continue, those animals are going to be extinct from the wild within the next 10 years. We do not want that happening, so we're going to do everything that we possibly can, hopefully end poaching once and for all. Now, friends, I will be dropping you off right where I picked you up, so I'm going to hold on to you for just a little bit longer, give the warden a call,